the idealistic vision of the self-organizing system continued to grow. The reason was that in an age of mass democracy, where the individual was sacrosanct and politics discredited and distrusted, it offered the promise of a new egalitarian world order.
So this is the situation here, incredible scenes. Parliament in the hands of these opposition supporters, and the MPs fled so quickly that they even left their papers behind.
In the early part of this century, the idea of the self-organizing network re-emerged in what seemed to be its original radical form. Beginning in 2003, a wave of spontaneous revolutions swept through Asia and Europe. In each case, hundreds of thousands of people flooded into the capitals of Georgia, the Ukraine and Kyrgyzstan, and they forced the old corrupt leaders from power. In all these cases, no one seemed to be in charge. But then, journalists discovered that the internet had played a key role. It had brought millions of people together to create revolutions that had no guiding ideology, except a desire for self-determination and for freedom.
Well, I feel really sort of powerful and happy.
And we did what we wanted. This is our freedom.
Now, computer, do the automatic switching that will bring in a camera. Hi, Bill. That's great. Now we're connected.
It seemed to be the triumph of the vision that had begun with the computer utopians in California in the 1960s. They had dreamt of a time when interconnected webs of computers would allow individuals to create new, non-hierarchical societies, just like in the commune experiments, but on a global scale. Now that dream seemed to be really coming true. In 2009, Twitter and Facebook appeared to play a key role in organizing the protests in Iran.
There was a lot of excitement in the ability of individuals in Iran to connect with a global audience and with their peers inside Iran to build a political consciousness in support of democracy. It represents the emergence of a completely new information ecosystem.
But in all the revolutions, that new sense of freedom lasted only for a moment. In the Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych, the man who was ousted, is back in power and has started to dismantle democratic institutions. In Kyrgyzstan, the new president fled because of accusations of corruption, and the country is torn apart by ethnic clashes. And Georgia has now fallen in the World Index of Press Freedom. At the time of the revolution, it was 73rd. It is now 99th. What had been forgotten in the optimism about the revolutions was what had really happened in the original experiments in the communes. They all failed. Most lasted no more than 3 years, some for less than 6 months. And what tore them all apart was the very thing that was supposed to have been banished: power. The commune members discovered that some people were more free than others. Strong personalities came to dominate the weaker members of the group, but the rules of the self-organizing system refused to allow any organized opposition to this oppression.
The original idea was very positive indeed. It was to create an egalitarian society in which everyone would both be free to be themselves and also be able to contribute to the group in a really positive way. But the very rules that kind of set up this egalitarian group resulted in the opposite of the dream. They resulted in creating a hierarchical structure in which some could be dominant over others because everyone is not equally powerful in their voice against one other person.
In the communes, what were supposed to be systems of negotiations between equal individuals often turned into vicious bullying.
In practice, these would be 20 and 30-minute hazing sessions that were quite awful to experience, and usually were met by silence with the rest of one's peers. So there wasn't any, hey, lay off, he's an okay guy, or anything like that. There were no supportive comments. The rule was travel in your own country, which means shut up, listen, and observe.
There was fear, actually, because the people who were more dominating and had more power could make, there was anger. There was just constantly a background of fear in the house. It was like a virus running in the background. So that, like spyware, you know it's there, but you don't know how to get rid of it.
The failure of the commune movement and the fate of the revolutions show the limitations of the self-organizing model. It cannot deal with the central dynamic forces of human society, politics and power. The hippies took up the idea of the network society because they were disillusioned with politics. They believed that this alternative way of ordering the world was good because it was based on the underlying order of nature. But this was a fantasy. In reality, what they adopted was an idea taken from the cold and logical world of the machines. Now, in our age, we are all disillusioned with politics, and this machine organizing principle has risen up to become the ideology of our age. But what we are discovering is that if we see ourselves as components in a system, that it is very difficult to change the world. It is a very good way of organizing things, even rebellions, but it offers no ideas about what comes next. And just like in the communes, it leaves us helpless in the face of those already in power in the world.